Around this time, 2 years ago, the end of my life was staring me in the face. As I was standing on the kitchen floor of my friend's apartment, the wrong guy was down on one knee asking for my hand in marriage. And as I looked into his eyes, I saw our future together. I saw the end of my livelihood, a black hole filled with abusive tendencies and despair. Around this time, 2 years ago, I was walking home from a women's domestic violence counseling class that I was required to attend after getting arrested for getting into a violent argument with that same guy. Now, I decided to walk home rather than staying in the car with my mom because once again, we were arguing and shouting at each other. Walking, so frustrated, screaming, "What the fuck is going on? I hate this! I don't want to suffer anymore!" With tears streaming down my face, I didn't know what to do. I sat down next to a statue and I asked myself, what am I going to do? How am I going to get past this moment? Something had to change. And then it occurred to me, Alicia, you don't have to suffer. This was a revelation for me because up until this point, for most of my life, I had been relying on people outside of myself to tell me who I was on the inside. And because I relied so heavily on external factors and people and situations to give me an identity, I would also blame everyone around me whenever I experienced something negative. Now fast forward to today, and I am one of the happiest, most serene, peaceful people I know. And I've learned that the quality of questions you're asking determines the quality of life you're living. So what questions are you asking? If you're asking questions like, why is this happening to me? Why is that person so stupid? You won't be getting any answers. But the moment you begin to ask bigger questions, like who am I really? How can I be of service? How can I improve this situation? Then the universe will respond in remarkable ways. This shift in perspective has done a lot for me. So back to that day when I was screaming and crying, I made the decision to take responsibility over that little piece of serenity that I had. I got back into the car with my mom, went home, and I started asking bigger questions. How am I going to remember to not engage in suffering when times get tough? How am I going to show those around me that they can do this too? And how am I going to repair this relationship that I have with my mother? And since that day, my questions have been answered. Today, me and my mother say I love you every morning and every evening. This is something that's never happened before in my life. I cultivate a positive internal and external environment. I encourage myself. And I encourage others around me in my community here on campus and outside of campus through Yes Plus here on campus and the Art of Living Foundation to live this knowledge and to go so much deeper than outside situations and people. So I invite everyone here today to ask yourself a question. Are you taking responsibility for your internal environment? Or are you simply waiting for someone to come along and say, oh, hey guys, time out. Debbie's kind of tired today. She's feeling down. She just needs some time and she'll be back in no time. Thanks. Because I think we know that this isn't going to happen. So the moment that I took responsibility for my internal experience, I hadn't realized it at the time, but a path had opened up before me. Before then, I was always waiting for someone to come and speak up for me. And since then, I found lasting happiness. I found serenity and strength. So now I challenge you to take responsibility for your internal experience. Ask the big questions. The moment I began to ask bigger questions, the good life reached for me, and I reached for it, and we found each other. And I've been living my version of the good life ever since. Thank you.